Well, hello everyone. Welcome to a new episode of Tawheed Spiritual Unity of the Three Principles. Today we're having a group discussion around Muhammad's teaching and understanding the Quran and linking it with the three principles, as always. I mean, the title seems a bit focused on Islam only, but it is also helpful to anyone who is joining from any other religion. That's completely fine, because as I say always, that there is only one truth. There is only one truth, whether we see it or not, and we might try to convey this truth with different words, but the essence and the source is the same. And that's what we try to convey today with bits of quotes from our prophets, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and other prophets as well, Jesus and Moses. So over to you, Harry, and then to Suad.
Thanks, Omar. These sensitive topics that we're trying to introduce, where there's a clear understanding of the power and truth in the Muslim faith through the Koran and through Mohammad, and the power and wisdom of the three principles as uncovered by the Prophet Sid Banks, is quite a confusing question for a lot of people. And when we had our show 2 weeks ago, what I noticed was what came out was truth is truth. Not the cover of the book or the cover missing link, or this is better than the Koran, or the Koran is better than that. It's the truth. And that's what we're looking for, because the truth makes us into better human beings. And that's the essence to me of all religion. All truth is the fruit becoming riper and more wiser in their ordinariness of life. In their spiritual nature, how does that enrich our life here on earth? And so truth became the word. And when people started to realize that we were looking for truth, we then found a real common ground between the two. And it was sort of highlighted. There was a lady called Ruby, she's not here now, and she talked about how the three principles enriched her feeling about the Quran, how it became alive for her. And that is the part of the message. You must follow what works for you. So if it's the three principles and that's all you want and need, perfect. And if it's the Quran, perfect. And if it's together, perfect. And if it includes teachings of Moses or Jesus, perfect. If it's truth, because we know mankind covers up has misinformation about the purity of the Quran, the purity of Sid's. In three principles, it's the same way. It's not always that pure of what connected to what Sid was talking about. And so that becomes, to me, the common ground. When I listen, Miriam, to the Muslim women especially, I've been touched by my heart has been lifted, not because they're Muslim, but because they're beautiful human beings reaching towards guidance by Allah or mind, universal mind type of thing. Now, I want to tell the story that I wanted to tell last time, but I asked Shauna Rosenblatt, who is Rabbi Rosenblatt's wife, Jewish rabbi. I said, how do you see the three principles and Judaism? And she said, I don't have any conflict with them at all. I see that everything originates from the three principles. I am the three principles, and how I wish to express it is as a Jewish person. And I said, gee, That's right. That's all we're doing out here on earth. We're expressing, Omar's expressing Omar ben Mosa in the way that makes the sense to him and makes his heart feel good, makes him wise and sometimes unwise, depending on how he's doing things. But he notices with the Koran and the teachings of Muhammad, when he's unwise, he ends up in a wise spot because he's guided by Allah. It wasn't a mistake after all. He finds tolerance and peace. So that really meant a lot to me, because I had a lot of trouble connecting in my path 3 principles and native spirituality. How were they one? And I found the answer to that, Suad. The answer was in me, right in me. So once again, you go inside. Now, I want to read something about Mohammed, if you guys don't mind, since I don't know anything about him. You know, I thought I did a little research. The word Koran means the recitation, recitation. The angel Gabriel revealed the Koran to Muhammad over a span of 23 years. The Koran proceeds after the enlightenment given by Noah, Abraham, David, Moses, and Jesus. The Koran teaches that obedience to God is the way to paradise and that disobedience leads to eternal damnation. Well, that is not quite the way I see it, but this is just coming from Wikipedia. There are many parallels in the Koran and Bible in terms of the historical events they detail, though their interpretations may differ in a significant degree. In the year 655, a group of scribes headed by decided to compile all of Muhammad's teachings. And the first caliph, principal Islamic leader, that's a caliph, C-A-L-I-P-H, Abu Bakr, that's probably pronounced wrong, then kept the Koran to preserve it. The Koran is a compilation of 14 chapters called sutras. And the Prophet Muhammad disseminated the Koran in a peaceful and gradual manner from 610 to 632, the year in which he passed away. The evidence indicates that he recited the text and scribes wrote down what they heard. The Koran is a book of divine revelations that was disclosed to the Muslim prophet Muhammad by the angel Gabriel. The differences reflected the oral transmission of the text, which is to say they are of the sort we expect to see from oral text. I'm almost finished, guys. These differences sometimes affected the meaning, but they do not change the basic ideas of the Koran. For example, they did not affect the scripture's notion about the nature of God, nature of mind. Sid talked about that nonstop. Don't look at what the principles do, look at the nature of mind, or change major religious obligations. And then the other thing, Suad, that was interesting was there's a lot of research, of course, into the story of whether there was a lot of the writing before Muhammad came up and so on. But it's not important, the story. What's important is the essence of the truth. That's my personal opinion. Maybe to others, everybody in 3P wants to hear the story of Sid Banks or the story of the prophet. And they're always surprised. Oh, he wasn't perfect. Oh, that doesn't make sense to my little mind. Doesn't matter. If the essence is truth, love permeates, makes you raise your level of consciousness, check mark. That's the way I see it. So, Suad?
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for sharing that, Hari, and thank you, everyone. So, if just we sit with the idea that the truth doesn't have religion, doesn't have race, doesn't have gender. Truth is a truth. And three principles are a truth. And this is the human experience. Doesn't have to do nothing with Christianity, with Islam, with Judaism. It's the truth. And we feel the truth. We don't see it. When the truth is said, it's not the truth. We feel that yes, it's the truth, that we are mind, consciousness, and thought. And this is our experience as a human in this earth. So Islam come up with that in Quran 2 and in Hadith. When Allah, always we are, in Quran, always there is understanding about the thinking. There is many ayat talking just about the thinking. And good thinking is kind of worship. We worship Allah when we think positive, when we have good thoughts. When we have good thoughts, we have better scale in our consciousness. And this is three principles. And when we go up in our consciousness, we are connected to our creator. So this is Islam, this is Christianity, this is Judaism, and this is human experience. Connection with our creator, connection with the big mind, downloading certain kind of thought that will benefit us in this lifetime. And this is the Quran all about, and this is what Muhammad, peace upon him, this is what he said in Hadith 2, is always saying that keep thinking positive and keep having good thoughts, and utter good words. If you don't speak well, remain silent. And meaning if you don't speak well, meaning if you don't have good thinking, if you don't have good thoughts, just remain silent. You don't have to talk. So this is the meaning of three principles in Islam. This is the meaning of three principles in Quran. You have to look for this connection to the divine, to the energy behind everything, to this intelligence behind every creation. So you have to look for this connection, and the more you look for this connection, the more you go higher in your consciousness, and the more you have better thinking, and the more you live in a life, in fulfilled life. So this is all about in Quran. There is no difference between three principles and Quran at all, because it's the truth. So for me, Muhammad came up with Quran, and Quran, by the way, is not what it says in Wikipedia. Iqra, it's not read, because Allah Azza wa Jal knew that Muhammad, he cannot read. So reading Iqra, it's contemplate. It's sit with the idea about the creation. It's not Iqra words, it's read the universe, read my creation. Read what's all about in this universe. This is what Allah said to Muhammad in the first verse in the Quran. It's a read, not reading book, not reading words, reading my creation, read my creation, read what's all about in this universe. But the misunderstanding, the explanation was read. They said that Muhammad was analphabet, he didn't know how to read, so Allah told him to read. Reading what? Allah told him, read my creation and share everything with the world. Share my creation. Read my existence. Read what I am all about. I am that I am. So read that and share it with the world. This is the meaning of Iqra in the Quran. And this makes sense to me and makes sense to three principles.
What is that word again? I can't pick it up. Eckhart?
Iqra, read.
Read. Oh, read. Oh, it means read. Okay.
Read. Iqra. This is the first verse in Quran. It's a read, but reading what? I don't know how to read. So, and Allah Azza wa Jalla knew that Muhammad, he cannot read. So he told him, read my creation, read what I am all about. And share that.
Just to clarify this, Suad, it's not the first verse in the Quran, but it's the first thing that was revealed to the Prophet
Muhammad. Yes, yeah.
But the first verse in the Quran is Surah Al-Fatiha. It's
no, yeah, but
different.
No,
just to clarify this.
So, yeah, so we will go in that one more time, one time, inshallah, in the future, because who made the Quran as he is not Muhammad alayhi salam. It's when he passed away, a human being make the Quran like that. But the first thing that what Muhammad has as downloading from Allah Azza wa Jal was that. It should be that in the Quran, because we have to, it should be Iqra, the first. But you know, after he passed away, people did what they did, and this is another subject.
So like in the three principles there were the three principles, and then people left Sydney Banks out of it in the evolution of it. And then he said, no. You have, it has to go back to the source, the first experience of being like that. So in the, is that similar in the Koran, that Mohammad, and is it that similar type of relationship that you, because I'm often a little surprised how little I hear about Mohammad and how much I hear about the Koran type of thing. And so that's a question. That's an innocent question, like from a man who doesn't.
Yeah. So it's beautiful. It's a beautiful question, actually. So, you know, a lot of misunderstanding, in my opinion, and I read a lot about that when I used to teach philosophy and Islamic understanding, and that was my topic. You know, I was looking for that. So a lot of misunderstanding about the personality of Muhammad, a lot of misunderstanding, and they cover part of him, and we lost a part of him that the Sufis understood. So Muhammad was, alayhi salatu wassalam, was an amazing human being. He came here just to share love and compassion, nothing else. To share love and compassion. There is nothing to do with anything in life, just raising the consciousness, because the consciousness in Quraysh, in Arabia Saudi, was so low. People used to worship something made from sweets, and after they worship the god made from sweet, they ate it. They ate their gods. So it was low consciousness right there. So he came up with the idea, we have to raise this consciousness. We have to go back to the Abraham, alayhi salam. We have to go back in when we worship the creator at all levels. And this is the first ayah, as I said, read my creation and share it with people. So a lot of misunderstanding that Muslims should go and look for this misunderstanding and correct it. Because our prophet is an amazing being. He brought something to the human being. His goal was to raise the consciousness, was to have better thinking. This is his goal, to encourage us to go back in this connection. So all the Sunnah, it's something, and all the understanding of Sunnah, it's something else. There is two different things. There is Quran, and there is understanding of Quran. We as a Muslim, unfortunately, we went by understanding of the Quran, not with the Quran. We close the Quran and we go by the understand. What people understood from the Quran. People understood something from the Quran in their consciousness. And we don't have to take that anymore, in my opinion. And this is what I did, and this is what saved my life, and I love it, and it changed my life at all levels. When I understood my religion from three principles, this has changed my life. The whole my life changed, because I understood Quran from the level of three principles. This is the connection, raising my consciousness, having good thought, and enjoying my life. That's all. It's simple as that. And I don't have to go in, like going ups and down and understanding what other people understood, like 600 years ago or 400 years ago, or, you know.
Yeah. I love what you shared, Suad.
Thank you.
I love what you shared, and this is so it is of a paramount importance to kind of shed light on this, because we are really misunderstanding the message of the Quran and you know, our prophets and Islam. Like, we really stick with the practice, and it becomes like part of the culture, or an exercise we do. Like, even prayer, it has to be done from a space of khushu, which is a state of humbleness, or a state of meditation, if you want to. But most of the time, like, you know, as we spoke about this before, so like you hear people saying, I want to get rid of Isha, like it's one of
Yes.
our
Yes.
5 prayers. I want to get rid of subh. It becomes like a burden, something to get rid of, instead of just enjoying and being present and remembering source, remembering Allah. And one thing that changed the way I see my religion, because like I really misunderstood it, is that when we pray, it doesn't benefit Allah.
Yes. Doesn't benefit us, Omar. Yes, first.
It doesn't benefit Allah, it benefits us.
Of course. Of course.
It benefits us.
Yeah.
And so everything we do for the sake of source or infinite intelligence, we do it for our own sake,
Yeah, that's it.
our true self.
Yes.
And that's just beautiful to know this. And also something that came to mind is we picture, Allah as a man in the sky, or whatever thought you have about Allah or this infinite intelligence, divine mind, God. It's not what God actually is. We can't put God in a picture. And so we think that we know how it looks like we do always, all the time. We try to fill the gaps of what we think about everything really in life, like how I'm going to feel tomorrow morning if I stay sick. Like today I'm a bit sick, so my mind go wondering that I'll be sick tomorrow again, for example. But I don't even know what's gonna happen from 5 seconds from now.
Yes.
In
And
fact,
so
Omar, excuse me,
Yeah.
Omar. In fact, what you notice is when Omar started on the show, he was sick. And then as the energy rose, his face cleared up, and all of a sudden he's actually emptier, purer, because he's lifted his
Yes. Yes. Yes.
his spirit or
Yeah.
his soul, his level of consciousness. And so it's amazing to watch Omar. It's like it's literally at the show at 11:15. I saw this sick old man, 90 years old, barely able to, and now this vibrant young. That's
Amazing. Amazing.
that is a miracle. And
Yeah.
I have experienced that too. When I was Sid and I was really sick. I didn't want to miss out on listening to him. So I went to visit and I'm hacking away. But, so anyway, sorry for interrupting, Omar. Excuse me. I just thought I'd say that.
No, that's brilliant what you said. I didn't even notice it, Harry. Because like I was meant to introduce the show today and just leave and get some rest. But subhanallah, for some reason I just forgot about that. Like it's really good that you said that, because when I'm not thinking about it, it doesn't exist. So maybe I'm just feeding I was feeding myself some
Yeah.
sick thinking. And then I've heard once that tiredness doesn't require rest. It requires a change in our mindset or state of mind. And that was really different for me, because like we think that we need to rest when we are tired. Like, and I remember sometimes I'm tired after work and my friends want to meet up, and then I go, and then my energy just changes completely. So it's just amazing. So we come back to the topic. We can't really put a picture on God. We can't really have an intellectual experience of God. It's beyond intellect. It's something that could be only grasped when we go beyond what is finite. To be with the infinite, you have to detach yourself from what is finite, from what is permanent, from what has an expiry date, and that includes anything in the world of form.
Yeah.
Be nothing and I'll make you everything. I used to think that it's something to do with like be nothing. Like, what do you mean be nothing? How can I be nothing? No, like my ego wasn't okay with that. But it is so humbling to know that actually, when we are nothing, or when we think of ourselves less, we are everything. We are the whole ocean in a drop, and not a drop in the ocean. As this is your favorite quote, Harry,
It
by
is,
Rumi.
it is, it is.
Yes. Yeah.
It's my favorite quote because it stunned me. It made me reflect and look at it from a different perspective because I'd only seen it the other way. And it brought a whole fresh awareness into
Hmm.
me. And that's when I'm interested, me, and my growth and awareness into the oneness. And that's what I think the Koran and the three principles bring to us, is a growing awareness of something we can't describe, something, that nothingness. Sometimes we use the word silence, that silence inside of us. Walking into that seems to reveal everything I need, including gratitude. I go, oh. And I keep saying this, it's not gratitude because I said it. It's gratitude that I can't help but say. It comes from inside out. And perhaps that's one of the teachings that Mohammad and Sid have in common. They're both pointing to the true self inside of every human being, and how it's connected to this mystical oneness that we don't see with our eyes, but somehow intuitively, mystically connect into. And even hearing the word angel Gabriel, which I have no idea who that is, it's such a mystical story. Muhammad is a mystical man. Sid Banks is a mystical man. So I have a question. A lot of what Sid talked about as being ordinary, was Muhammad is he seen as an ordinary human being, or as a, sometimes when I listen to people talk about Jesus, I go, yeah, but he was a carpenter, and I bet he hit his finger on the neck, every once in a while. It didn't go, thank you, God, for that experience, type of thing. Is he divine in every way, or is he just an ordinary person who is he called the messenger? What is it?
Yes, a messenger of Allah Azza wa Jal. Yeah, he was ordinary person. He was a human being who enjoyed life with family, with friends, and with everybody. So when the time came when he was downloading all the blocks of thought, this beautiful thought coming from the divine that Allah Azza wa Jal told him to share, it was another time when he became light. But during the day, he's a human being. He's a normal human being who wants to laugh, who wants to enjoy, who eat, walk in the markets, make deals, make businesses, making businesses, making deals with people, talking, negotiating. But when time came, when he was to go to the grave up in the mountain, yeah, it's somebody who download divine thought. So he's not normal. And we all know when we are sitting in meditative state, we are not normal being. We go somewhere else. We don't stay in this earth. As a human being, when we meditate, we don't have our mind here. So he was more than that. He was connecting more than us with the divine. And this is why he used to download all these beautiful thoughts in the Quran for us to understand. Yeah.
When you were talking, it brought back a feeling that I remember with Sid. Sid was very ordinary, and he really loved building like a fireplace or gardening. But when you were in his company, it wasn't actually like being in the company of an ordinary person. He did ordinary things, but the energy was just unbelievable. And I have a feeling that was also true for Muhammad. When you were in his company, even though he wasn't always talking truth, he just being in his company, you were in a superior energy it just was amazing. Like I don't know how to describe this, but you just automatically could feel like an elevator.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's probably not understood when I say ordinary. That doesn't mean he wasn't connected or one, and it was healing in many, many, many different ways and directions.
Yeah.
One,
Yeah, in the Quran too, in the Quran, there is ayat to showing us as a human being that he was a human. So people used to ask, if this is a prophet, why he's walking in the market? ما لو يمشي في الأسواق? Why he's walking in the market? And Allah Azza wa Jal said, yeah, he's a human being. He has to do whatever you do to integrate himself with you so you can understand what I am giving him to share with you. So sharing with people came from this state of being normal. When he's normal with people, they used to listen to him more. So in the Quran, a lot of ayat just to show us that Muhammad is human being. وما محمد إلا رسول قد خلت من قبله الرسل. ما لهذا الرسول يمشي في الأسواق ويتحدث يعني all the many ayats just for us to know that Muhammad, yes, is a human being as us, but he's more connected to the divine. So this beautiful connection, what made him like special to Allah Azza wa Jal and special to us as a Muslim.
maybe we could ask a Muslim. Miriam, I've never heard you talk, so I hope you don't mind, but what do you think about all of this stuff?
Hi guys. What I think about all that stuff. So I think I'm not the right person to ask on this question because my idea of my how can I say it, connection with God. I'm less canonic. I'm less how can I say linked to the canonic teaching, so the religious structures. However, I'm more spiritual, as we say. I think Muhammad alayhi salam, it was an enlightened man and got the access to the divinity within himself, and that allowed him also to discover kind of truth that he shared with the people around him. And about if he was a normal person, I think as the other prophets, the prophets teach us one important lesson is that we all have this creational potential inside of us, and in a way or in another they try to lead us or to suggest us some the big road, and then we try to strive to it in a way or another, because again everyone is different. What I agree with Suad is that we made, in the Islamic world, we got separated from that. We got separated from the essence. We somehow put ourselves in a box of these religious structures, this religious fundamental teaching, without how can I say it, searching the very deepest meaning inside of it, but we took it as a rule to how can I say, a rule to English is not my first language, so I'm trying in a way or another to
Say it in Italian, Mariam.
sottostare, ecco, to rispettare, to obey to them, and that unfortunately lead us to what I call, and a lot of for example Albert Camus called as a philosophical suicidal, because we suppress our capacity to think, or a capacity to question, or capacity and drive to search. So I don't know. I think
that's beautiful. That's
It's
beautiful.
beautiful. Thank you for sharing, Mariam.
Honestly,
That's so beautiful.
That was awesome, Mariam.
Yes.
Thank you.
You see?
Thank you. Yeah. The whole misunderstanding of Islam, what separates us from other religions. And
Yeah,
we
exactly.
don't trust anymore that we are one with Jewish, we are one with Christian, we are one with with the Hindus.
Exactly.
We are just one. So the misunderstanding from fuqaha made these things for us as human, as Muslim, to stay in our land without sharing.
Well, you see,
nothing.
I think, sorry if I interrupt you, I think it's how can I say, if a tendency of the human being, because it's not just the Islamic society and now over. So I grew up in Italy, I went in a Catholic school, and I experienced other closure, other religious
Yes,
closure.
all religions,
So
all religions went through that. All the religions.
Exactly.
All
I think
the religions.
it's exactly that. I think it's a human tendency to just take the easiest road, but at some point, that easiest road, as each road is tailored for ourselves. So my road is not your road, Suad,
Yes.
because the how can I say it? The environment where I grew up, or also the situation that brought Miriam as concept to got created is completely different from your Suad, and maybe
Yes.
our mission is different, and etc. So
Yes.
the roads are completely different, and when we force ourselves to follow just the superficial thing without researching it, it's like we betrayed ourselves, and we betrayed the divinity that we have inside, and somehow, and in an ultimate stage we betray God. Yeah, that's my idea, and I don't know a lot about.
The important thing, Miriam, is the purity of what you are follow. If it's pure, it's going to be truth. It will not only allow you to see the words of Muhammad, the pure words of Muhammad purely, you'll be able to see it wherever you go.
Yes,
in life.
exactly.
And I think that that's what I hear you expressing. You can get caught up in the form and separation, and every time there's separation, we've left Allah behind.
Exactly.
Can't possibly have a separation and also experience Allah, or whatever that word means to you. So purity, that's the essence of, that's what makes us into a better human being. That's why Sid wanted him to come along, not because he wanted the recognition, but he understood that the level of consciousness that he experienced is the level of total purity. And it wasn't to get the people to come and become three principal people. It was, the gift was not quantity, it was quality of the purity of the message, the purity of truth. And every time when you're talking, I can feel the way you are doing it is exactly the same way I am doing it. Honestly, you would have totally different words but it's exactly the same. We're both looking for, because we understand that's what's going to lift.
Yeah, for me, sometimes I feel some pain when I am reading Quran. Now, when I understand three principles, when I'm reading Quran, and when I am reading the understanding of Quran, I feel a pain. Why these people did that to the Quran? Why did people understood the message of the Quran, the message of Muhammad? And then I come with this thought that, every prophet, when he passed away, we took his message and we crafted a way that will serve the people, politic people, people who wants a lot of money, People who want something material in this earth, they craft the message in their ways. And this is how we lost the truth. But once we understand the three principles and we go back to the source, everything starts making sense. All the ayat, all the verses, everything starts making sense. Yes, this is for me to understand my life, to understand my consciousness, my mind, and to keep thinking good thoughts that will serve me and serve others. Because it's all about others, it's not about me. It's like a movie. When the filmmaker choose the actors, he choose every character based on his thinking, on his consciousness, to make the idea about the movie, to make the good movie is the roles from any specific actors. This is the uniqueness through the oneness. We are an infinite movie, and we have to play our roles in uniqueness, but in oneness, to have this idea of better life, good life for everyone.
And lots of magic. Magic
Yes.
of love, magic of creativity, magic of better than you expected, magic of, I don't know, understand anything about this, and that's the way I like it.
Yeah, beyond.
We have a question from Xander about, is there any scripture in the Quran that relates to the mind or thought? For example, in the Bible, there is one verse that says, be transformed by the renewed of your mind. I can go first for this one. The first verse that popped up in my mind is, indeed, Allah will not change the condition of a people until they change what is in themselves. And this is actually also what Sydney Banks was pointing people to kind of look for a positive feeling or pure thoughts, because it's a pure thoughts that will trigger the beautiful feeling that will change the bad behavior of a person or a nation, right? And that will also allow us to increase our level of consciousness. Do you have something to add, Suat, for this question by Xander?
So there is a lot of ayat about أفئدة and قلوب. لهم قلوب يعقلون بها ولهم أفئدة يعقلون. Meaning, so heart in the Quran is the mind. It's the mind related to the soul. This is the meaning of the heart. This is the meaning of al-fu'ad in Arabic, meaning the heart and the soul together. When your mind connected to your soul, and you get better thought to move through your life. This is the meaning of fu'ad. So there is many ayat in Quran talking just about the connection between the mind and the soul, between the divine and you as a human being, just to have better thoughts. Because in the Quran, there is many ayats, if we can understand them from the perspective of three principles, they are talking to thought, to thinking. Positive thinking is kind of worship in Islam. The more you think positive, meaning the more you are connected and trusting Allah Azza wa Jal, the more you are in good shape in your life. And this makes sense. Because when I'm starting thinking good thoughts and having beautiful thoughts in my daily life, I am connected. Meaning I am connected, my consciousness is high. So the whole perspective of three principles embodied in Quran. There is many ayat right there just talking about fu'ad, about afida, about absarun sam'un wa afida. So what we see, what we hear, and what we think, this is what we are made of. This is how we can download thoughts, just from what we see, what we hear, and what we think. So it's thinking related to consciousness, relating to mind, or relating to the big mind, as Sid Bank said.
Maybe I could say something. When I went into the indigenous world, Sid said, don't use mind, thought, and consciousness. Use spirit, thought, and consciousness. they won't relate to universal mind, because that's a psychological word for Allah. And so every time we're hearing the word Allah, I don't know how many times it's in the Koran, but I would imagine it's there a little bit, maybe a lot of it. That's mind, universal mind. And so it's just, and the same thing when Catherine Jones is writing a book for kids, they're not using the word mind, they're using the word guided by Allah. It's the same, it's the feeling. If it's an inside out feeling, you got it. If it's an outside in feeling, you're worshiping a false idol. You're a follower, because you're just following the words, but have not experienced.
But yeah, okay. So mind in Quran, we understand that as Muslim, because we have many times in Quran, aql, uqul, اعقلوا, uqul, اعقلوا, aql. So this is the mind. The mind meaning the logic of things when you are in this perspective of downloading thought. So this is in the Quran. We understand what the meaning of mind. But the big mind, yes, this is what we refer as Muslim to Allah Azza wa Jal. And the names of Allah, there is 99 names, 100 names of Allah in Islam. Every name has give us a picture of Allah. Every name gives us a picture of Allah. So 100 pictures, this is how Allah is. This is what we know through our intellect. But there is other things that we don't know through our intellect. But our intellect as a human being, when we have 100 pictures in our mind, we can figure out that yes, there is something there beyond my understanding, and that I have to connect with every day with my thoughts. And when I am in this state of connecting, I am in peace. And this is what Sufis are. They are all in peace because they are connected minute by minute, second by second, what they hear, what they see, and what they say.
Are they seen as more mystical Muslims?
Yes, Sufis, yeah.
Okay.
They are so spiritual and mystical.
Yeah, I would love to hear from Daniela. Would you like to share something, Daniela? What are you hearing? Is there any question? I think she's not there.
She's not there, maybe. In my way, I am.
What about you, Joe?
Yeah, I thought I might read something out in a minute that touched me from the Koran, but about patience, if you like. But I was just going to say first, when you said about be nothing, it reminded me, it's probably the only time I've ever heard Sid quote someone. He quoted the Buddha, who said, the greatest state a human being can be in is the state of no thought. And it's to me, because when we be something, it's a concept, isn't it? We're having a concept or a self-image, an ego image about ourselves. But when we be nothing, we're in that state of no thought, the state of no past or future, or no ideas or beliefs. We're just being there, being in life. And so, yeah, that's for me. And the quote, yeah, I liked, that really touched me. It was patience in difficult times. And it's, "O believers, seek comfort in patience and prayer. Allah is truly with those who are patient. Never say that those who are martyred in the cause of Allah are dead. In fact, they are alive, but you do not perceive it. We will certainly test you with a bunch of fear and famine and loss of property, life and crops. Give good news to those who patiently endure, who, when faced with a disaster, say, surely in Allah we belong, and to him we will all return. They are the ones who will receive Allah's blessings and mercy, and it is they who are rightly guided." And it's that, isn't it? We go through suffering and that, and we feel we're being tested, but we keep the faith, we keep our belief and our trust, and then we're guided.
Yeah, thank you, Joe. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. So patience in Islam, as we say earlier, we have misunderstanding of patience too. Patience is acceptance. This is the real meaning of patience. When we accept the experience as part of our experience as a human being, and we sit with it to overcome it by trust, not being patient and being in miserable situation and just complaining about what I am going through. This is what we understood as Muslim. Being patient is, yeah, I'm going through a hard time and I need help from people because I am patient. No, I am accepting that. I am embracing this experience because I am human. And this experience is part of my experience as a human. And I know by trusting Allah, I will overcome it. This is the understanding of patience. And this makes sense to me because, you know, when I accept any situation in my life and I trust that, yes, it will pass and I will overcome it, it makes more sense. Better than being patient and being in the situation of complaining and being in the situation of low self-esteem, low self-love. Something happened to me from God and I have to overcome it. No, something that I did to myself through my thinking because I was a lower level of consciousness, I was downloading negative thoughts, and this is what I am experiencing now. So I have to raise my consciousness and start downloading another kind of thought to overcome my situation. So I accept what I did to myself through my thinking. This is the understanding of being patient in Islam.
One of the understandings.
Yeah, one of the understanding of being patient in Islam.
Or 3 Ps would be having an insight, wouldn't it? Waiting for an insight.
Yes, waiting for an insight, but from the perspective of accepting and being open to whatever is there for us to overcome the situation.
Patience from an inside out perspective, Suad, is a no-brainer because it's obvious that what's happening is we're learning to accept free will and God's will as one. And so we develop a patience because we understand that's the way it works. It doesn't go at the pace of our thinking. It goes at the pace of Allah's thinking or original thought.
But in Islam, Hari,
just a second,
Okay.
please.
Yeah.
So that's where intuition comes in. You intuitively feel that actually our personal thinking and our personal mind is a mess. It's a waste of time.
Yes, perfect. I love that.
And when we put it aside, it doesn't stop yapping. Like it's yappy, but you put it aside and you wait and you enjoy the waiting, because every time I slow down my mental thinking, every time I learned something new. I forgot that it's about slowing this down and waiting for the reflection to come out. So I have a thought about the show or something, and I can feel it's not quite there. And then I go and I take a nap. And then all in the middle of the nap, all of a sudden I say, oh, right, that's what I actually think. That's actually how I see it. It seems like we're giving a lot of misinformation into our reality. That misinformation has led the world to wars, poverty and rich, women subjugated by man's desires, a lot of crazy stuff. And that crazy stuff is who I am too. Once you realize you're full of crazy stuff, you start to look for, where's the uncrazy? To me, that's what Sid and Mohammad were pointing to. What he always talked at the beginning, watch your beliefs. That was all he talked about psychologically. It was all spiritual. Watch your beliefs. And I have found, sitting here now 50 years later or 45 years later, I still have lots of beliefs. I have lots of personal opinions. And every time I have a personal opinion about Suad or Omar, it's bullshit most of the time. It's just like, what am I getting caught up in? And I step aside and free myself with patience. And it reveals how simple it is. It's so simple, guys. If we didn't think so much and take our opinions so seriously, it's so simple. All we have to do is relax and be ourselves. What's the point? I have to prove how strong and mighty and spiritual I am. Well, I know the truth of who I am. I'm not actually that perfect. I'm sorry to disillusion you, Omar, but I'm actually not that perfect. It's a joke, of course. Yeah. So patience is.
There is a quote that I want to mention, Harry, about like our experience changes from moment to moment as our thinking changes. And I've read this quote by Alan Watts earlier today that says, you are under no obligation to be the same person you were 5 minutes ago. So 5 minutes ago, you might have some judgmental thinking about me and Surah Harry, but now you don't.
Yeah. Yeah, so a lot of beliefs, huh?
And then you see the truth.
Yeah.
Omar and Suad are loving, caring,
Thank you.
wise human beings who are my friends.
Thank you so much, Harry.
I'm blushing.
Well, yeah, it's a blessing for us to be with you, Harry. It's a blessing, and we learn a lot.
It's a blessing, and I'm blushing because of Harry's compliments.
Yeah. So yeah, beliefs just a thought that we keep thinking over and over, and we can change. Believe it's just that. So we can change our thinking, we change our beliefs.
Yeah, and as Rumi says, the quieter you become, the more you're able to hear.
Yes.
That's for sure true. That's a bullseye. That I don't know why humans don't get that. That's so obviously true. We talk about the quietness and then we start talking about everything else. We don't sit in the quietness.
I loved how we started this episode with the messenger and the Quran and the hadiths and quotes and verses, and we brought it down to the truth that is, you hear and you're guided when you are quiet. You know what path you should follow. It feels right to you. You are comfortable, you are yourself in it. That's an indicator that you're heading the right path. I see a lot of people, like religious people, struggling, and they think that they really have a grasp of the religion. And that's so unfortunate because it's just, stuckness in the belief that I should be in a certain way or I should do certain things. But what matters most is being yourself, because when you are who you truly are, you can't be unkind. You can't be horrible to other people. You can't be selfish. You are selfless. All the good qualities that should be or that are our essence just shows up because we get out of our own way.
Yeah, I love Harry when he always said check mark, whatever you love it, just check mark. I love that. No, whatever works for you and for others, just check mark. No matter what religion, no matter what beliefs, system, and just with people, rising the consciousness. This is the whole things that we are here for. Yeah, just.
Check mark to me means guided by Allah. It's a sacred moment where you listened to what Allah whispering in your ear nonstop, and you followed it.
Yes, yes.
That's the beauty of love. Self-love just means listening to Allah, not with mental activity, because you can't do it. I use the word intuitive or instinctive from that perspective. Everything else is shallow, empty in comparison. That's the beauty of Allah. It's so much. Sid said it very clearly. What I have seen is still, it's just, you'll never come to the end of this topic. You just, it's forever and ever and ever. Katrina, you've been sort of sitting there and just say a few words, just to, we're getting closer to wrapping it up. And so.
I'm half asleep. I've got not much to say.
The perfect space to share from, Katharina.
I can see that. That's true. I'm just enjoying the conversation.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Full of wisdom, what you just said, Catherine.
Thank you.
Thank
To
you.
me, there's the sense of something came up earlier, but trying to put it in words, as soon as I try to put it in words, it's gone. And I think that says a lot, really. The words aren't where it's at, it's the feeling.
Yes.
When you come on a show like this, you could see the different levels, and then somewhere along the line, especially when Joe read that beautiful quote from the Koran, you could feel, to be honest, Joe, that took the show into a deeper level. And from that, you could feel the feeling come out. I noticed that a lot, Katrina. The show goes, and then all of a sudden it finds its place. And then that's when you have what you talked about.
Yes, often in all sorts of calls, I notice, for me, as the call starts, maybe I'm sort of relaxed, then I get busy, and it's towards the end. Often something really magical happens, because by then we all seem to settle, no matter which call it is, whether it's within this group or others, it's suddenly everybody settles.
So maybe with that, Omar, we, instead of, we can sort of.
Yeah. Just before we end it, Joe is raising his hand. Would you like to unmute yourself, Joe?
Yeah, I'm just going to read a hadith that it goes back to what Suad was saying, and our show really is.
Great.
Paradise will be occupied by those who love one another for Allah's sake, those who sit together for Allah's sake, and those who visit one another for Allah's sake.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Joe.
Love that, Joe. Thank you. And with this quote and the last one, actually, we will end this beautiful episode that was full of gem and not a normal gem, but gems that feed our soul. And the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ says that richness is not having many belongings, but richness is contentment of the soul. And with that quote, I'll see you all in 2 weeks. Thank you for joining this episode. That was a beautiful group discussion. We've enjoyed all the questions and the sharings and the insights. And thank you for my co-host Suad Al-Khantouri and my co-host Harry Derbitsky, always sharing and sharing amazing, insightful stuff and great jokes as well. Getting better, Harry. And see you on the 3rd of February. We have a really interesting one with Rabbi Scholl and Suad Al-Khantouri and myself. And of course, Harry Derbitsky. We're going to be doing part 2 about the oneness of God, Allah, and mind. The oneness or the unity? It's the same, right?
The same. It's the same.
Thanks, guys.
So see you all in 2 weeks.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you for coming.